This yarn has been in my stash so long, I'm pretty sure it's legally a tenant. Welcome to episode 7 of the 2025 Untangle the Stash series. Can you sell your unwanted yarn, and should you? First, let's just acknowledge the truth. Getting rid of yarn can make one verklempt. That's right, Oscar. We attach all kinds of stories, intentions, and even guilt to our yarn. But I was going to make a shawl with this. What if I need it someday? It was on sale. But keeping yarn you don't love is like keeping clothes that don't fit. They clog your space, stresses you out, and can make it harder to use the yarn that you do love. Okay, so at least some of it needs to go, and maybe you spent hard-earned coin on that fiber. So you're thinking, why not sell it and recoup some of that cash? But here's the thing. Is your yarn worth selling? Time to find out. Let's start with the harsh truth. Not all yarn is created equal, especially in the resale market. Here's some ideas about when yarn is going to be worth the effort. It's unused and still has the ball band. You know the fiber content, weight, and yardage. It's indie dyed, luxury, or discontinued, i.e. someone might hunt for it. You have enough for a decent project, at least 100 grams. And here's when it might not be worth it. Partially used balls with no labels. Yarn that's fuzzy, pilled, or smells like dust and dust sweat. Novelty yarns that no one asked for. Looking at you, eyelash yarn. It might, Oscar. Ask yourself, would I buy this? If the answer is, consider donation. We'll talk more about that later. Okay, so you have some stuff you think is marketable, and now you want to know, how much do you ask for it? Pricing is where most destash sales go sideways. You're not trying to recoup your original investment. You're trying to rehome a resource. Here's your baseline. New, never touched, with the tag, can get up to 60 to 70% of current retail price. If it's wound into a cake but unused, you could go 40 to 50% of full price. Partial balls and mystery yarns, 10 to 30%, or maybe just bundle them with something better as a bonus. Here's some other places you can check. What's it going for on Ravelry, like in people's stashes, or eBay? Check whether the yarn is discontinued or hard to find. That can bump the price slightly. And factor in how much shipping's going to add. It could kill a deal if you don't factor that in. Round the price up to the nearest dollar or down. $7 sells better than $7.19. Pro tip, pricing lower than you think gets it done faster, especially for larger destashes. Now that we've settled on a price, let's make it all shiny so that we can attract the yarn dragons. People buy with their eyes first. Clean skeins? Great. Messy cakes? Rewind it. Here's some other tips to help it sell. If you have a Swift and ball winder, excellent. If you don't, beg, borrow, or no, don't steal them. You can use a Swift, the back of a chair, or even somebody's feet to rewind a hank if it's gotten very unruly. Use your ball winder to rewind cakes that have collapsed into yarn ramen. Use a lint roller if any of it has been in your stash for a while. Group yarns that go together. Same brand, fiber, or palette. And if you want to move partials or leftovers, you can make little themed bundles. You could take some cool tone sock minis and put 300 grams together. You can put your 100% wool neutrals together into a sweater lot. And you can take some cotton DK scraps and make a little kit for a dishcloth. Label everything: weight, yardage, fiber content, and dye lot if you have it and it's applicable to that particular kind of yarn. This isn't just destashing, it's light merchandising. All right, we've established that what we've got is marketable and we've made it super pretty for the yarn dragons. Now we just need a place to sell it. Selling yarn online isn't just post and pray. Each platform has its own quirks. We'll start with Ravelry. On the pro side, they are yarn literate buyers. You can use the advanced filters and there are no fees. It's really good for indie yarn, popular brands, and full sweater lots. You want to watch out for slow moving listings and the fact that it's limited to Ravelry users. Now you could also try a Facebook group. The pros are they're active, responsive, and local. The cons, it can be a bit chaotic. It depends on really good photos and clear communication. And you can locate specific groups like Canadian Yarn Hoarders Destash or other regional groups. And there's eBay. It's got a wide reach, international buyers. On the downside, there are fees for using it and there might be some shipping hassles. It's probably best for those rare discontinued yarns and more niche items. There's also Etsy, which is familiar to crafty buyers. The downside is people have higher expectations, there's fees, and now these days you're competing with a lot of mass market stuff. I would suggest only using Etsy if you're bundling yarn into kits or you're offering hand-dyed lots of yarn. And then you've also got local options like Craigslist, Kijiji, Marketplace. These are great for sweater quantities, blends, beginner lots. You can always offer porch pickup to avoid awkward chats. We'll talk about transferring money in just a little bit. Oh, you're definitely worth more than an Instapot, Oscar. And then once you've listed it, do you want fewer "is this still available" messages? Let's make your listing airtight. Make sure you include the yarn name, the weight, the yardage, the fiber content, the name of the colorway. Tell people what condition it's in. Is it new with a tag? Is it already wound? Is it a partial ball? Make sure you take good photos, natural light, front and back of the label, and a close-up of the color. Note whether or not the price includes shipping. And with the shipping info, note where you are willing to ship to, when, and how. And as a bonus, tell folks if your home is smoke-free or pet-friendly or not. Yeah, there's pretty much dog hair on everything in this house. All right, time for just a brief little discussion about shipping because it's going to be very location-specific, country-specific, all that kind of stuff. We'll start with some packaging tips. Use Ziploc bags or plastic sleeves to keep the yarn clean and dry. Squish out all the air to flatten it so that you can save money. You can use a padded mailer or poly envelopes. They work really well. Include a printed receipt or a thank you note. It's optional, but kind of classy. For options, you're going to have your good old letter mail or package mail. We have Express Post here in Canada. You could use some of the couriers for better tracking, but know that they're going to cost quite a bit more. And these days, there are lots of other shipping options out there. If you just get on the Google and ask for shipping options in your area, I'm sure you'll get a long list. Now, for payments, because if you're selling, you actually want that money to get to you. It's a little tricky. In Canada, Interac e-transfer is definitely the go-to. It's secure and there are no fees. In the US, I understand that many people use an app called Venmo. We don't have that up here, so I can't school you on it. But I'm guessing it's quite similar to our Interac e-transfer system. If you're selling across borders in either direction, you are pretty much stuck with PayPal. You can use the goods and services option if you want buyer protection, or you could choose the friends and family option as long as you trust them or you don't mind a little bit of risk. I'd say knitters are generally very trustworthy humans, in my experience. Oscar. All right, does all of that feel like a lot of, work? That's because it totally is. Gifting and donating can give you even better rewards and take way less time. Here's who you can give it away to. A friend or a friend of a friend who just started knitting, your knit night group. Bring a free to a good home basket with you. I've done this many times. You could set up a yarn swap with your knit night group or local guild. Here are my suggestions for a successful one. Keep it invite only. Find a nice venue. It can even be in somebody's house or an empty garage or a basement. Set up some tables. Ask for a volunteer or two to collect up as much stuff in advance as possible just to make setting up faster and go more smoothly. Set a date. Let everybody know. Arrange all the goods on the tables. You could have yarn, patterns, books, tools, all that fun stuff. And you can choose to arrange it by weight or color, whatever your group is going to like best. And it's super fun to have a little sit and knit area with some snacks and beverages, maybe some pattern ideas around, some patterns, needle sizers, a wraps per inch guide. Then let the shoppers in to browse, adopt, and rehome all those lovely goods. But what then do we do with the leftovers, you ask? I'm so glad you asked me. Now we can segue into how to donate your yarn. You can donate to local schools. You can ask the arts or textiles teachers what they'd like. You can donate to community centers or libraries, to seniors' homes. They almost always have a craft circle. To charities like Warm Hands Network, Knit a Square, Project Linus, Sam the sock thing. Wendy will tell you. Label as much of the yarn as you can, fiber, weight, yardage. If not, you can just sort of do it by feel and just toss in a note that says, I don't know. Yes, Oscar, we're all aware that you want all the cashmere. And there we are. Here's your official permission slip. You do not have to keep yarn that doesn't excite you. It's okay to move on. Yarn is meant to be used and shared and loved and not buried in a tote for all eternity. If you've been hanging on to it out of guilt or obligation or someday, this is the time. Let it go. Make space. And maybe buy one really good skein that you'll actually want to use. Selling yarn can be worth it if you price it right, prep it well, and know where to list, and are willing to do all that work. But sometimes the fastest way to clear space is to let it go with love, or just an eensy weensy bit of resentment. Either way, you have permission to say, I'm not going to use this. And that's okay. Now, I have questions. Have you ever let go of yarn you regretted? Have you gifted something that found a perfect home? Has your knitting group done a yarn swap? Tell us all your stories in the comments. We want to normalize letting go and give people as many tips as we can cram in there to help people create the most useful stash they could possibly imagine. And if you want to keep track of the yarn you still do love, stay tuned. Next month, we're talking all about stash organization and keeping track of what you have. Here's a link to the playlist of all 6 previous Untangle the Stash episodes in case you need to catch up. I say goodbye. Oscar says goodbye. And until we see you next time, needles up, yarn down.